Now let's look at an example of PP&E impairment. Front B has a machine with 16,000 cost and 6,000 accumulative depreciation. The machine is expected to generate 2,000 each year for the next 4 years. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 2,000 each year. That is the expected future cash flow. If the discount rate is 4%, the present value of the future cash flow is 7,260. So that is the discounted future cash flow. Should we recognize impairment for this machine? And if so, how much impairment to recognize? Please take 1 minute. First, work on this example on your own, and you can pause your video for now. So step 1, should we recognize impairment for this machine? To decide whether we should recognize impairment for the machine, we need to compare the undiscounted future cash flow and the book value of the machine. So the undiscounted future cash flow that is basically we take the sum of all of its future cash flows and we don't need to discount it. So it's 2,000 multiplied by 4 years, 8,000. And the book value of the machine is the cost of the machine minus the accumulative depreciation. So that is 10,000. So as you can see here, the undiscounted future cash flow is smaller than the book value of the machine. So yes, we need to recognize impairment. And then we move to the second step, step 2. In step 2, we need to decide how much impairment loss to recognize. To calculate the impairment loss, we basically take the discounted future cash flow or the fair value of the machine, so which is 7,260. And then we take the difference between the fair value and the book value, which is 10,000. So that is 2,740. That is the impairment loss which are recognized. And as you can see here that because the fair value of the machine is the discounted future cash flow, so it is always smaller than the undiscounted future cash flow, which means that the impairment loss is kind of conservative. We are trying to recognize as much loss, impairment loss as we can to be conservative. And then the general entry here is to debit loss on impairment, 2,740. And then we credit PP&E, 8,740. And we debit accumulative depreciation of 6,000. So this general entry here, the left-hand side, loss on impairment, it's very easy to understand. We recognize loss, the impairment loss for whatever loss we have calculated. And then what is this part? Credit PP&E 8,740. So what does this mean? Please take 1 minute, think about it. Why is this general entry written as this? So this is actually, we're trying to write down this machine to a new machine. So we're kind of, by impair the machine, we're kind of like starting over again with a new machine. And that new machine has a cost of 7,260, and it hasn't been depreciated yet at all. So that's why we're reversing back all of the accumulative depreciation, 6,000, the old accumulative depreciation we have had on this machine. And then we are writing down the cost of the machine to the new book value, the new cost of the machine, the new book value or the fair value now of the machine, which is 7,260. And then, so in order to write it down to the new cost, we need to credit PP&E for 8,740. It's kind of like we're starting over with a new machine. And for that new machine, it hasn't been depreciated yet. And its cost is 7,260, which is equal to the fair value of the machine at the time. So yeah, this is about PP&E impairment.